Hey everybody, let's play some Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Well, we've got our Ogre Venom Mage and the swamps clear. What's our next objective? To go deeper into the insanity of the swamps. It's not really that crazy. It's just wet. Alright. So we got the swamp worm. Now he wants to, of course, harpoon shot us, bring us over to him. It's kind of like he has the spell Lesser Beckoning, but with much greater range. Mercifully, he cannot pull you onto a square that would kill you, like a square with deep water, so you don't need to worry about him eliminating your character from the game because of something like that. In a much earlier version of Dungeon Crawl, things like that could happen, but thankfully, the developers have mostly eliminated, I would say like 99% of the time, deaths like that into lava or deep water that are not caused by you, the player, using like a potion of flight and having it wear off over top of them or something like that. So I don't really care about him. I'm going to see if he's in range of my stone arrow, and he is. So let's just give him one. We have a swamp drake coming in, but you can see both of these enemies are gray. Here comes a tyrant leech, so I'm just going to go ahead and toxic radiance, and the swamp drake doesn't care because, you know, he's all about poison, but the leech is getting blasted. Let's give him a stone arrow, and then I'll give this guy the leech another stone arrow, and then now we can just ignite poison, and his day should be, Okay, another good thing that the game does for you is let you know that you're standing in a cloud of vapor. So if I ignited poison, I would actually damage myself, and it gives me the option to do it or not. So it stops you from destroying yourself, which is good. I am going to step off of the stairs and then just ignite that guy, and he's gone. And then let's just stone arrow this dude a few times. Just need to hit. And one more time. Got him. And I'm going to just be very careful. Go up the stairs, rest, get all my stuff back. Then go back down and keep exploring. Okay, here come the insubstantial wisps. We talked about them before. But with our 21 armor class, because of our beautiful and stylish pearl dragon scales, we're good. Remember, we're big, so we can't wear most armor, but dragon scales fit everyone. They're like magically powered to get really small if you're teeny, like a Spriggan, or get really big if you're a larger type, like an ogre. Alright. So, I'm just going to wait and then start trying to hit these dudes with stone arrow when I can. And we can. So here you go, buddies. Stone arrow for your birthday party. We hit a bunch of them, but now there's a spiny frog coming into play. And so I'm going to back up to the stairs just in case. Remember, there's so little of this floor explored, hence all the black space around me. So when I'm playing on a new floor like this, I really like to stay close to the staircase so I can bail if a swarm of enemies comes at me. And there isn't that now, but I want to set up just in case that happens. I'll just stand here with this spiny and just give him stone arrow until he passes away, and right now stone arrow is kind of like my go-to nuke. In fact, I keep casting it so frequently that I'm going to set it as a macro, and you can do this throughout the course of your play. Like if you noticed, dear God, I'm just spamming this spell, well, might as well help yourself out. So I'm going to push shift tilde and macro, and I'm going to set macro 2, which was poison vapors, but I pretty much don't find myself casting it anymore. At certain points through a playthrough with a caster, spells will just cycle out, like they've reached their max effectiveness, they carried you for a bit, but now you aren't casting them as much, if at all. Kind of the way it is with poison vapors. It's not, there's a lot of poison resistant guys in the swamp, and I have bigger spells that I want to cast. So I'm going to redefine my number 2 macro to be Z for spellcast, H for the letter that corresponds to stone arrow, and then I am going to put an F on there, which just means automatically fire on your auto-targeted dude, and boom. So now I have like a quick way of blasting people with stone arrow. And as I turn the corner, I see a bunch of vampire mosquitoes and a swamp worm. Now, you need to always be careful with swamp worms because their harpoon ability, while kind of an, it doesn't do a lot of damage to us at this point, and it might seem like it's just annoying. What it can do is drag me into an area that's far away from the staircase and then introduce me to a whole bunch of new enemies that I can't see because of my line of sight right now. So I'm actually going to step back around these trees, and then you can see that this occludes all of this from my vision, and vice versa from their vision, so they can't see me. Now they know I'm there, except for these 2 dudes with the question marks. They might not know, probably not, and so these 2 enemies here are going to start working their way around to get me, and this guy is really fast, so he's going to get here quickly. What this allows me to do is, I'm going to step back one more, put myself in a place where I'm limiting the amount of enemies that can see me at one time so that I don't get overwhelmed. And now, even if this swamp worm does come around the corner and want to use his harpoon on me, he's pulling me into an area that's closer to the stairwell, and it's less vulnerable to unexplored areas of the map. I'm actually going to step back one more. And then now we can just push 2 and try to blow this dude away. And you see he did, in fact, pull us toward him. I'm going to kill the mosquito, and then I'm going to start working on the swamp worm with stone arrow, and we got him. Another mosquito has been alerted to the sound that we're making. It's not super loud. If you remember, stone arrow, which is what we're casting, is actually quiet, which is like not as good as silent, obviously, but not that noisy. So we aren't making very much noise. You can see our noise meter here. It's fine. Those enemies might have just seen fighting from around in their way, or they just came over to check things out. But luckily, stone arrow is not drawing the attention of enemies all over the map, just near ones. Alright, so I'm just going to stone arrow this guy. He got close. And we'll rest. Oop, swamp dragon. Okay, so the swamp dragon's coming. And we have some choices. He's actually a little bit tougher. And I'm down 10 MP, which is pretty substantial. So I'm going to... He doesn't see us. I'm going to go up the stairs and get my magic back and then go back down. And now he sees us. But this is okay. Now, one thing I do want to bring up when you're fighting dragon enemies, and some other enemies have this ability, but specifically dragons, I like to fight on the stairwell a lot so that I can run immediately if I need to. Just be mindful that if a dragon gets in melee, they're so big and strong that they can actually push you back and knock you off of the stairwell. And this can create a situation where you get pushed back off the stairwell, and then if there's other enemies or the dragon themselves, they can step onto that stairwell and take away your escape route. So that can be terrifying if that happens and you're not expecting it, or you're low on health, and then now you can't leave, and you had kind of budgeted in the escape route of the stairway. So be mindful of that. Anyway, this swamp dragon's coming. Remember, he's Mr. Swamp, so he doesn't care about poison. So toxic radiance, things like that, do nothing. We're just going to stone arrow him, and honestly, it'll be enough. It's going to take like 5 or 6. It took 5 there, I think. But whatever, it's fine. He put his poison on us, but remember, we've got our staff of poison, so we are resistant to poison, so it's not really that scary to us. We are getting hungry, so I'm going to actually eat. Push E to eat, C to eat my ration, or whatever button is corresponding to your ration, and now the alligator is aware of us. I can actually get him with poison vapors, so I'm going to. Boom. And then now I'll start just casting Stone Arrow. The thing about poison vapors, it's still good, and igniting poison works still excellent, but poison vapors just isn't enough damage against most of the enemies at this point in the game, unless they're just gray joke enemies, because their health is so high that taking the damage over time that poison vapors inflicts isn't going to kill them quickly enough to remove the threat. You know, they're going to get into melee with you, and so Stone Arrow just does damage much faster. Now at this point, I can just ignite poison and kill him. It's still great, you know, you can still use it, but you need to use it in tandem with other stuff. Supplement your spell kit. All right, here's a 4-headed Hydra. Again, just a reminder, it looks like, oh, he's far away. Hydras move ultra quick through water, so he's going to get on us in about 2 turns, I imagine. I'm just going to Stone Arrow him. 4-headed Hydra. The fewer the heads, the easier the Hydra. The fewest I believe you can get native without you chopping off the heads is 3. So this is just like the second easiest Hydra that we can get. He's actually out of range for Stone Arrow right now, which is a shame. I could use a Wand of Flame. I actually am going to use a Wand of Flame on him. It'll hit him, and then you can see he did move 2 tiles, but he took... Wand of Flame, wands in general, but just do a lot of damage to Hydras, and Wand of Flame is a great one to use. Remember, he's in the water, there's the steam that he has to consider, but now I'm going to give him a Stone Arrow or 2, and you can see that he got up on me, and I'm going to bring up the combat log by pushing Control P, or the text log, I should say, and, you know, the 4-headed Hydra started attacking us here. He bit us, he barely missed us twice, and he completely missed us. So remember, for each head, they get 1 attack, and so he hit us. He attacked us 4 times, but he missed us twice, which is kind of amazing. And then he bit us, but he only did like 4 damage. He actually missed us 3 times. So he didn't roll very well. And then when he did, our mitigation with our bigger armor class made him, you know, not very effective. Even down here, he hit us twice, and it didn't do that much, as you can see by our health. So our big armor lets us stand in for a little bit against Hydras. Now, they can still get big rolls, and the bigger the heads, it starts to add up significantly. You're not going to want to stand in there and try to tank a 7, 8-headed Hydra, really. It's just a bad plan. But there, you can see that we can at least take a few rounds to cast Stone Arrow and not have to try to immediately run away. Oh, okay, so this is a Ghost Crab. Ghost Crab is actually a really annoying enemy. They put down this spectral mist on you, and it's quite the hassle. So if you're not sure what is going on, just look at the enemy. He's got about 58 hit points. He's immune to poison. So, you know, he's kind of like an undead dude. And Spectral Cloud has a range of 7, which we are within. Let's see what it does. Creates a cloud of spectral mist, dealing minor damage to all creatures other than the undead. Dangerous but short-lived spectral undead creatures will coalesce from the mist over time. So it's kind of like he puts this, you know, cloud on us, like, and it blows up like Mephitic Cloud. It does damage over time if we stand in it, and it can also summon things like this Spectral Hornet. So what you want to do when you fight a Ghost Crab is get out of the mist. So we're going to move. It becomes hard because, as you can see, it has like an AoE explosion, and he just does it all the time. I'm actually going to blink. Where's my blink? It's okay. I miscast it. Let me try it again. There we go. And then so I kind of blinked out of it. And I'm going to step down here. And then the crab is over there. I'm going to give him my wand of flame. Oh, no, I can't. The guy's in the way. So I'm going to step down. And I'm going to blink again. And I'm going to step over here. And I'm going to try to get myself into a position where I can see the spectral crab and get some shots on him. But his summons are becoming really, really annoying. Alright, I'm going to use a wand of acid. It will go through. The wand of acid is sweet because it actually penetrates a few enemies. The way that I understand it, it might not be exactly this, but you see that this wand has a range of 5. But for every enemy that it goes through, it reduces that range by 1. So if I were to shoot this way, I would actually probably only hit these first 2 dudes because the range will be reduced. But if I'm shooting this way, I still will hit the crab. And we got him, and we blasted him with corrosion, and he was hit by it. You can see the glass indicating that, but his dudes are still blocking us. So I'm going to step over here, and I'm going to take some serious measures. I'm out of the mist. I'm going to cast Fireball, and I can put it here. The only downside of casting Fireball, besides the fact that it uses a lot of magic points, is that it's very loud. And so we might alert enemies to add on. Oh, we miscast it, which is a bummer. Alright, so I'm going to use my wand of... Well, actually, I'm going to use my lightning rod and just point it like there. That's fine. And then I'm going to use my lightning rod again. The lightning rod actually does more damage each consecutive time you use it. And then he's almost dead. And I'm going to see if I can get him with my arrow. The guy is blocking it. So I'm going to give him acid again. There we go. And we killed him. So I had to use some evocables. He's quite annoying because he puts summons out that block my firing. But at the same time, we got him. And I don't really mind using lightning rod. I'm more concerned about the wand charges because those don't recover. Alright, so now here's an 8-headed Hydra. I'm going to actually step back and step over here and see if he's coming. Because if he's not, I'm not super pleased about engaging him right there. I feel like I could probably take him, and that's cool. I'm trying to hit these mosquitoes, and they're hard to hit with my stone arrow. But the thing about that Hydra is if he comes up from the south and starts closing the distance on me, and it goes badly, I don't have a clear path to my escape staircase yet. So I want to make sure I can secure an exit route before I take on an enemy of that stature. Here are 2 staircases down, which are options, but let's just let me finish this circuit all the way around so that we can make sure there's no enemies on our escape route for the time being. Alright. And then there we go. Now I'm going to check out this little stone structure down here. Uh-huh. Okay. And it's a swamp worm. We'll just give him stone arrow until he falls over. Sometimes the swamp can have these little, like, you know, ruins of a building or whatever, and they're always worth looking into because they can have treasure and enemies like to live around them. Alright, so here's another staircase up, and here comes a Spriggan Rider. I'm just going to give him some poison vapors. I'm going to do it again. And now I'm going to give him stone arrow. And, oop, another rider is coming. I'm just going to give them toxic radiance. And I'm going to ignite the poison. And we've killed both Hornets and one Rider. Now we just have this other Rider, Spriggan, who's just by himself, and he's significantly less of a threat, and we Stone Arrow, and he dies. It's always great to see enemies that you can poison. It's just such a relief with a Venom Mage. You're like, oh, you don't like poison? Oh boy, it's going to go badly for you. Alright, there's a ring of resist corrosion and a vampire mosquito. And then there's that 8-headed Hydra. There is a staircase up, but it's too close to the Hydra. I'm going to just walk back across the land. And the thing about this is, as long as this Hydra stays mostly on the land, we'll be able to get away from him. And the vampire mosquitoes, I do believe, are going to run nice interference for us. Yeah, and I'm just walking backward. I am getting hit by these mosquitoes as I walk backward, but if they don't do that much damage, and I need to get into a spot like this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step up and stare dance these vampire mosquitoes. Just bring them with me. And we're going to just try to Stone Arrow them. They're going to hit us until we get a good hit. Now, we are not going to go back down this staircase because there's a Hydra waiting for us. And it's always a terrible move to stare dance Hydras unless it's one that you're very confident that you can easily defeat, and you need to do that because they basically are going to get all their hits on you a couple of times, and that's just like, if I go down, I'm going to get hit 8 times by the Hydra, and then even if I need to run, I'm going to get hit 8 more times, so not great. I'm going to go down a different staircase. Okay, and so this staircase is over here in relation to this staircase, and I'm going to try to engage that Hydra. Oh, here's a buckler. I'm getting this. No, I can't. That's right. I'm too big. I keep thinking like I'm a caster, so a buckler is great, but no, I'm an ogre. I need a kite shield. Have we found a kite shield? Hey! There's one on sale. Well, I didn't really notice that when I was in the Orcish Mines, but I'm going to go buy that. Alright. Now let me move over here and see if the 8-headed Hydra has wandered very far away. I'm going to kill this guy. You don't really want anyone else around when you're fighting something like an 8-headed Hydra. Here he is. Alright, so I'm going to step backward. He has seen me. I'm going to step over here, and he's going to start getting to us really quickly. I'm going to get on stairs, and then I'm going to think, what is the best way to do damage to this guy? It is probably right now my Wand of Flame. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, the steam cloud makes it so I can't see him. So I have to wait. There he is. And then I'm going to give him Wand of Acid once. And then now he is severely injured. And I'm going to start giving him Stone Arrow once. And you can see that he's almost dead. Now, even though he was 2 tiles away right now, I just want you to pay attention to the fact that because Hydras move so quickly in water, all I did was cast my spell, and he was able to move and hit me 8 times before I got another action. So in this situation, where the staircase is near water, he moved, hit me 8 times, and if he wrecked me, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go up the steps, he's going to get to go with me and hit me 8 more times on the way up. So just something to think about. Now, I was able to do this because I was doing a lot of damage to him, and I have this Pearl Dragon armor. And as you can see, my armor class is actually now 22 because our armor skill is raising with our unbelievably helpful Manual of Armors. Ogres actually have a -2 aptitude to armor, so that's pretty rough. But with a +4, we're doing just fine. Alright, and I think I can Stone Arrow this guy again, and he dies. And so, great. Hydras are very, very dangerous up close, but if you can exploit range, which is harder to do, admittedly, in the swamp, they're great sources of experience. Also, if you have a flaming sword or axe, and you're comfortable, like you think you can hit them, you can make them much easier by chopping off their heads with flaming attacks. And then cauterizing the stumps, so like you can hit a 8-headed Hydra and make it a 7-headed Hydra. And then, you know, with each head you chop off, you make it easier. So, I'm just going to get fancy and have fun here and just put a fireball right there. And then we'll just stone arrow the rest of these dudes. Now, I have to be aware that I probably was really noisy and... ooh, there's an alarm trap. Alerted a bunch of enemies. But I was fine doing that because... And you make these decisions as you see, but once you feel like, well, I've explored most of this map, making a lot of noise isn't a big risk right now because there's not that many enemies to even alert. Alright, so our pack is full, and a Wand of Ice Blast is something we really, really want because ice damage wrecks cold-blooded enemies, and there's a lot of them in the swamp. I'm going to drop this +2 hat. I'm going to drop these boomerangs. I'm going to drop this second ring of magical power. I'm going to drop this ring of strength. I don't need this right now. Okay. And then I can pick up this Wand of Ice Blast, which is great. I'm actually going to read a scroll of Identify. I have a potion. Potion of Ambrosia. Ambrosia is a great potion for spellcasters. It gives you a confusing set of buffs where, I mean, confusing is the right word. You get confused by the Ambrosia potion, but while the effect is on you and you're confused, you are regenerating hit points and magic points. And so there are situations where you can use that, like where you have an easy enemy next to you and there's no other way for other enemies to get to you, and you can use the potion, take a few hits that aren't going to do much, if any, damage, and then regenerate your magic points, because magic points are the lifeblood of spellcaster, and there's not that many ways to get them back in this game. So it's a funky potion to get working, but it's extremely powerful. I just stone arrowed that guy down, and we finished Swamp 2. Terrific. Alright, so that would be the Swamps level 2, and I feel like this is a good stopping point for this run. The Swamps 3, things are going to get even harder, but we are really understanding now most of the enemies that we're going to see here, if not all of them, and building our character to succeed in the swamp and get our first rune. Let me just take a look at my spells. Let me see my fail rate. Fireball's still 7%, so training fire magic is just great. I'm still training translocations because blink is at 4%, and blink is one you want like at 1% fail, because you're casting it in emergency situations, and if you fail, it is, as you saw before, it can be really, really scary. And conjurations is just basically something I will probably train most of the game, because that's where our nukes are going to come from. And armor is making it so we can mitigate the encumbrance rating of the armor that we're wearing and decrease our spell fail rate as a result of being encumbered, but also get more armor class out of our armor items and therefore mitigate more incoming damage. So I'm totally cool with the spells we're training. Alright everybody, well thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of the Beginner Caster Guide for Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup with our Ogre Venom Mage. I really hope you're enjoying this series and learning, and just, you know, my belief is that one of the most important ways to get better at this game, and obviously I still have a long way to go myself, but it's just reps. It's just seeing what the different dungeon seeds provide, seeing different encounters, interactions, and getting exposed to all of the threats in real time by seeing gameplay. instead of like, you know, it's one thing to read about the enemy on the wiki or whatever, but to actually engage them and see how it plays out with the character is very, very helpful. And so I'm hoping that by showing you guys more and more of the game, getting deeper with this character, you start to understand what it takes to evolve a caster, to make different decisions as the game gets harder. All right, everybody. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will check you next time. Take care.